Hi, everybody. This is Kathy L. Murphy, and I'm reporting from my little cabin in the woods called Murphy's Law. I'm the Pulpwood Queens CEO and founder of the International Pulpwood Queens and Timber Guys Book Club Reading Nation. And we are very excited because tonight we have one of our authors from Atlanta, Georgia, who's originally from Dallas, Texas, that's here, and she's a Hollywood insider. And she has this wonderful book called Red Carpet Rivals, a novel. And what I love at the bottom, it says a real, REEL, story about Hollywood awards. And welcome to the show, Bobbi.
Thank you, Kat.
Here. I know that we're going to do a wonderful presentation and you've got a PowerPoint that you're going to put up. So I'm going to let you do your thing. And then at the end, I'm going to come back and we're going to talk Hollywood. So I'm turning the program over to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I have on my Pulpwood Queens crown, being a proud author member of the book club for many years. So let's just do a little show and tell here. And let's see, there we go. Share. Yep, we're on. So if you look at my book is Red Carpet Rivals. Welcome everyone to this presentation. I appreciate Kat organizing it. If you notice that pink seal of approval on the left, that means so much to me. Kat selected my books, my first one and second one, as selected readings for the Pulpwood Queens and Timber Guys Book Club. So that was a great start for us. Wow. That's very interesting.
Right down in the bottom left-hand corner.
This has never happened before. Okay. Okay, so we talk about, we were together at the Pulpwood Queens online girlfriend weekend, and this is, we may have. Okay.
Oh my gosh, look how turquoise my hair was.
Yeah. Now this was in person, the Pulpwood Queens girlfriend weekend, and I was happy to be with Kat and many authors who had contributed to the 20th anniversary anthology, edited by Susan Cushman. We had a lot of fun. You can see a lot of pink and leopard. And then again, in person, authors and readers get together. And of course, the wonderful Lisa Wingate is in the lower right corner, and she presented her book Before We Were Yours. So I like to say your net worth is your network. And Kathy has given me a very rich network of friends and readers and writers ever since I've got associated with her. So my book is in Hollywood. I live in Atlanta now. My late husband, Simon, and I retired here after living in the fast lane in LA, and we were hard hurt in the earthquake. But my inspiration for Red Carpet Rivals was my life in Hollywood, which was very exciting. I went to many of the awards shows, many times to the Oscars, the Golden Globes, Cannes Film Festival, Deauville, the Emmys, MTV Awards. So there was a very exciting life. But I chose to create a fictitious movie award, the biggest award in the world, but it's fictitious. It's called the Movie Constellation Award. And instead of Oscar, it's called Constant. That's a female award with her arms raised up, reaching for the stars. So, of course, Oscar is a male knight with a crusader's sword, and he's sitting on a base that represents the original 5 spokes, the original branches of the Academy. It weighs 8.5 pounds, and it's made of Britannia. So my little girl is the new award that I created. And of course, coming up with a name for an award is not easy because everything is taken. So I did come up with the Constants. Speaking of awards, I was honored that my book was chosen by the Pinnacle Book Achievement Award. And after that, the Beverly Hills Book Award. And I was thrilled with an article in the Beverly Hills Courier, but also my book is in the library in Beverly Hills. And if you ever want to see a magnificent library, go see the Beverly Hills Library. As I said, I attended those festivals, and here I am dressed up on the red carpet The lower center is being in Ireland with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman on the film set of Far and Away, and then with various stars, Spike Lee for the Image Awards on the lower right. So it was great fun. I love to dress up. I had my hair done at the opening of an envelope. And you can see even my gowns from 1990 were still current with a star in 2019, had the same marabou and velvet gown that I wore in the 90s. And I donated my Oscar collection of dresses to the University of North Texas that has a fashion institute.
Oh.
So my ideas, I told you, I was in the thick of it. I enjoyed it. But Pat Conroy has said, write about what you know. And I have been in the heart of Hollywood and felt that wanted to write my thoughts about being there and some of the exciting experiences that are really larger than life. Alice Hoffman, who has been a Pulpwood Queen author in one of her conventions, of which I attended with Kathy, Alice said, write about what you can imagine. And of course, Alice has imagined books with practical magic. Not to put myself in such wonderful company, but I am with Pat Conroy and Alice Hoffman. I say write about what you know, write about what you can imagine, and also write about what you can research. So I took great lengths to look at old Hollywood, to see the films, to make sure things were in the right era, various aspects of the film industry that I got it right, because I am writing about an industry, and I chose to write about movie marketing. My characters are fictional. In this case, they are tabloid stars. I'll tell you a bit about each of them. They're hounded by the paps. And I show you the rich lifestyle, the rich and famous. And of course, there are the rivals. In Red Carpet Rivals, there are estrangements. So my main characters are Preston Coop Cooper and his wife, Serena Jackson. They're gorgeous. They were married. They are both up for an Oscar for a Jack London film. So they are vying for this. They were together when they were shooting the film, but they are rivals now when they're heading toward the Oscar. So Coop is the kind of guy, he's gorgeous, he's blonde, he's chiseled. Conversation stops when he walks into a room. And Serena, who's a bit challenging, is platinum blonde, excuse me, who not since Harlow and Marilyn Monroe have anyone melted the hearts of the people like Serena Jackson. Charlie Wallach is a studio executive. So I've got a female working in the movie industry. She wants to break the glass ceiling. I mean, she wants to shatter it. And she's resourceful. She's upper middle management on the rise. And she has a lecherous boss, Charlie Arthur Feelgood, and his wife, Teenie, the ultimate spoiled Hollywood wife. So Charlie puts up with her boss's insults, even though she's a senior vice president. He calls her his marketing gal, his girl Friday, but she is respected in the industry and gets her chance to talk about movie campaigns and how they should market the films. But she wants to get that big job in Hollywood. Now, another area I chose is the publicist. It's many of us know images of the stars from movies we've seen or books we've read, but a publicist, in my case, Francine Darton, is a behind the scenes character. She's the gatekeeper to access to the stars. When they're working on a picture, a studio will hire her. They pay her salary, but she's the one who helps the stars decide if they're going to do the various publicity stunts that are required of them. For example, Arnold Schwarzenegger was made Grand Marshal of the Hollywood Christmas Parade. He was a willing participant. He felt anything that puts butts in seats is good for a picture. So you get stars who will work for the film and others, depending on their contracts, will or won't. But Francine Darton is a powerful woman in Hollywood, and she likes to wield her power. So in my story, as I said, Arthur Feelgood is a man who speaks inappropriately to some of his employees. There are other aspects of workplace harassment in my novel, but I wrote it before I knew of the Harvey Weinstein scandal. And as I was finishing the book and looking at the galleys, the story broke about Weinstein. And it turns out my book was probably one of the first Me Too novels about Hollywood. And so when I'm talking about research, I thought, well, this casting couch idea has been around for quite a while. And I came across a memoir by Joan Collins. And when she was an ingenue from England, and she ran into a fellow beautiful young actress, Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn said, "Oh, Joan, you better watch out. Those producers are all wolves. If you don't do what they want, you'll be dropped." So Joan went into her meeting with a major producer, and he chased her around the desk and told her he was going to show her something she'd never seen before. But she ran out of the room, and she did keep her contract. And indeed, Marilyn Monroe made her one of her breaks as a beautiful woman showing a young starlet in All About Eve. And she is told to make nice to an unattractive producer. And she goes, "Why are they always like nappy rabbits?" And George Sanders tells her to go and make herself useful and help her career. So that's the way Hollywood had quite a scandals throughout the decades. So we're talking about red carpets, and I'm fortunate to have walked some of the most incredible red carpets on the planet. One was the festival at Cannes, not Cannes. Cannes is in northern France. It's Cannes. And we were there with Tom and Nicole for the featured film of Far and Away. And that's my husband, Simon. It was a very exciting time and a great way to promote American films across the globe. There, Tom and Nicole, and you can see Nicole is with a blonde friend she brought along. That's Naomi Watts before she became an American movie star. And then I went to the Deauville Film Festival, and I decided in my novel, I wanted to show the film festival atmosphere. We've seen the starlets dancing in the fountains of Cannes over the years in movies and Fellini films, but I wanted Deauville, which is in Normandy, and to show the beauty of the place, the historical aspects, and to give readers another setting to which they might not be familiar. And you can see the Norman architecture that with the cream colored facades with the wood. And I call this hotel in Normandy, it's like an empress with a nightcap on. So this is where the stars stay when they're there for their festival. And some of the exciting romantic interludes occur near this fabulous casino in Deauville. And again, during the festival, you wear formal attire. The men wear tuxedos, women are in gowns. But we have Coop, when he's separated, has a wonderful liaison in France. And what I wanted to do is give that relationship some weight. So I set it in Normandy, and Coop and his new associate go to the landing beaches. They steal away from the festival, and Coop grabs a sports car and they dash off, and they do go to Normandy. And they are awed by seeing where the barges were, where our troops landed. Coop says he's played a soldier, but he can't imagine running into the face of gunfire, especially with the German pillboxes where the soldiers were fighting at them and picking off the Allies at will. Also, they went to the cemetery, and they held hands in that solemn space with the wind blowing. And Mercedes wondered, was Coop going to kiss her? But no, he just wiped away a tear for the solemnity of the location. So we're going to talk a little bit about Oscar voting, because the awards are April 25th. Because of pandemic, the schedule's all changed. And do you wonder who votes for the Oscars? So I'm going to give you just a quick rundown, because I have voting, and my book, before we start this, my book opens up, and Coop is signing his ballot. It's gone electronic, and he's thrilled to see his name in print next to the movie of which they're making. It's a Jack London movie called Little Lady of the Big House, and make a movie about an obscure London film that's a triangle that's set on a ranch. And then he comes across his ex-wife's name on the ballot, Serena. He thought it was a dream to work with her when they were on location in Salinas in California. And then he wondered, when did this become the greatest nightmare of my life? Anyway, so here we are, Oscar voting. It is now digital. And who can vote? These calendar might have changed a bit, but the ballots go to members in December. The nominations come in, and all members of the Academy, of which now there are about 10,000, are eligible to vote for Best Picture. The branches nominate their own, which means actors nominate actors, producers nominate producers. The acting branch is the largest branch, or has been. So that way you have a fair shake at who are the nominations by qualified people have decided. And then the method of counting is called the preferential system. I won't go through the detailed statistical aspects of it, but you take the number of votes, 10 films that are up for Best Picture, divide it by the number of members of the Academy, add 1, and that becomes the fabled magic number. You don't have to follow this per se, but when each vote is cast, whatever's number 1, whatever reaches that magic number, that division by 10 plus 1, is a nominee. And then they go back through if they don't have enough, and they go to the number 2 votes, and so on and so on. And so this year there are 8 nominations, which means that 10 did not make the magic number, but it's to make sure that the quality of the films that are voted on meet the membership's interest. And then how is this decided? There are movie campaigns, which you'll see in my book. There are layouts and war rooms about what are we going to do with this campaign and who's going to star it and how are we going to spin it. And these are one sheets that are the posters. I had fun making up all the movie campaigns, the movie titles. Of course, I threw in some real ones for historical aspects and to add veracity to the novel. But, and then sometimes it's not the studios who decide which categories and which their intended actors are placed. It's for the voting members to put perhaps 2 characters in the same film for supporting that might have been perhaps, and sometimes might have thought of as a best actor. But it's up to the voters to decide where the actors should appear. The road to red carpet rivals was a great one for me. I had written my first book, Shelter from the Texas Heat. We'll talk about it just very briefly in a little bit. And then I decided to go to graduate school, and I enrolled in Kennesaw State University, have a master's degree from there. And I enjoyed the process of writing the book in a workshop and then as my final thesis. So part of the book is the red carpet in itself is almost like a setting, like the river in Huck Finn. The red carpet runs through my book. I researched how do you create settings. You can go to the places. I did go to Hollywood Boulevard. I read old newspapers. Of course, with the internet, there's so much to look at, and photographs and diaries and stories. So it's great to use all kinds of ways to create these settings. You want to make sure that the locations, like the Kodak Theater, is on the right street. Or when I'm writing about Atlanta, if I'm talking about Krispy Kreme, I want it to be on Ponce de Leon and not on Peachtree, because readers who know the locations will be put off by locations that don't make sense. What setting? It can be a geographical setting. It can be a time period. You have sunny, stormy. When my book comes, when the novel starts and Red Carpet Rivals, they're going to the Oscars. Coop and Serena are on their way. It's raining. Think it's going to be a happy trip to the Oscars? So they're playing cat and mouse in their limos to get there and not get stuck in limo land, which Kathy was asking you about. How early do you go to the Oscars when you're in LA? You better go early, because if you're too late, sometimes in the past, stars have had to ditch their limos and run. Glenn Close, I believe when she was pregnant, got out and ran to make it in time for the ceremonies. So setting can also be your costumes, your speech, and of course the tone of the book. Of course, being in Georgia, the tone Gone with the Wind. Tara itself is a setting, but it's like a character. So again, the red carpet is a theme that goes through mine with the awards. in my first book, Shelter from the Texas Heat, it was set during the 60s to the present. And I was a girl in Dallas when Kennedy was assassinated, and that stuck with me. So I have real settings in that historical fiction. I'm honored that the American Library Association counted as one of the top 50 novels about JFK. But it's a story about a girl who's growing up in Dallas, a story of friendship and loss, and a coming of age tale, how the assassination affected an adult and her life. So settings do matter, and something can trigger you, and the thrill of the Oscars, the sadness of the assassination, the crazy fun characters in Texas, as Kathy knows only too well. And again, in Hollywood, the larger than life characters, and they're fictitious, but they're real. Talking about using real settings, I have some fancy hotels. Some exciting things are happening in hotels in LA in my book. And one of them is a pink palace with palm leaves on the wallpaper. And I'm in private homes, at movie festivals. Stores are fine as long as great things happen in beautiful stores. And then restaurants, there are activities. There are copyrighted materials. So when you're working with this kind of material, this idea how much can be quotes, movie quotes that are approved. Song titles are okay, but generally, I'm not a lawyer, but generally lyrics are not. So I enjoy the doubleheader of the metafiction, my book, my Jack London book, within my novel, and the movie adaptation of the London book was great because it's in the public domain. And I could even work with real dialogue and enjoyed the freedom of a book that didn't have various copyrights that might have infringed upon the narrative, which worked perfectly because Coop is the embodiment of what London thought of as handsome, rugged man. And my Serena is a wild, liberated woman beyond her age and a physical beauty. So they fit the characters of the Jack London book. My fictitious characters matched the book characters. So in my book, and Kathy mentioned the real Hollywood, I try to capture the culprit culture. This could be the culprit culture, the corporate culture. I hope my dialogue, which can be salty, rings true, and it can be sexy. I wanted settings that the readers aren't very familiar with, or give them really an inside look on how Hollywood decisions are made. Challenging relationships. You have people who are climbing to the top, who will step on people, who will come together. There's fun and love and some rough people and childish people. Characters overcome obstacles. And of course, I'm trying to get a real point of view about Hollywood scene. And these are my two novels. And they're really stories about people living in different challenging and exciting environments. And that's all for the prepared presentation. And Kathy, I'll open it to you to continue our dialogue.
Well, we'll go ahead and take the
Yes, okay.
screen off.
All right, here we go. Stop
And
screen. Hope it'll go faster than the original. Here we are.
I have actually found my readers that match her book cover.
Okay.
I wanted to begin with some things that you may not know about Bobbi. I mean, I went back and was reading some of these things, and I just think this is important to know. Bobbi attended UCLA, earned her BA degree from the University of Texas at Austin. She holds a Master's of Art degree in professional writing from Kennesaw State University. She lived in Los Angeles for many years working in advertising. She's now a resident of Atlanta, Georgia. She's a former journalist. She currently instructs writing at several universities and is involved with the vibrant film industry and literary groups in Atlanta. And she's also spoke at so many literary festivals and book clubs. And she, if any of the Pulpit Queens are listening to this, she loves to talk to our book club. So visit her website at www.redcarpetrivals.com. So I wanted to mention that. And then your honors, which is really important to mention too. You talked about the Pinnacle Book Achievement Award, but you won the Best Multicultural Fiction, the Indie Excellence Award. You mentioned the American Library Association book list online, 50 years, 50 books about JFK. And then she also listed the Pulpwood Queens International book. And I've got a new seal to send you, Bobbi, because we now have international on our new
Oh,
seal.
wonderful.
But there's wonderful pictures in the back. And she's also got lots of discussion questions, which are really terrific. One of the things that, is interesting to me is because, growing up watching the Oscars, it was the biggest night in my family's life of the year. We'd turn out all the lights. We watched the Oscars. We'd have popcorn and Cokes. It was a big event. My mother had gone out to Hollywood to make it as a movie star, and she didn't make it. My dad went out and proposed, and she married him. But it was something that we watched every year, and we would talk about the costumes, the gowns, the glamour. When stars were really, superstars. And, through the years, there's been times where it seems like it's not as glamorous as it used to be, but I think it's coming back. I don't know if you would agree with that. When was the last Oscar Academy Awards that you went to?
The last one I went to, of course, I've been in Georgia for 25 years. I went for a very special occasion in 2001. And, it's always thrilling. I loved it. As I said, it was just fun. The festivities were great. And I think some of you know that when you're sitting there in the audience, if people have to get up, they put in seat fillers. Now, it used to be young people in LA could apply and do this, but after there was a bit more security over the years, it became people associated with members of the Academy would apply. And so you'll never see an empty seat when the audience is panned during any break and commercial break. But that was fun. We also attended the Golden Globes, and that's more table seating, and it's called the Party of the Year. Has fewer voters, and there's been articles recently about that because it's a Hollywood Foreign Press. As I said, the Academy has a massive membership, but the stars like it, and I enjoyed it, sitting at a table with some fun stars and people cutting up. And one time the hotel served frog's legs to an American audience as an appetizer, and sadly, about 1,000 frogs' legs went back to the chef. And then Candace Bergen ran on stage with her frog in her hand. And I'm sure members of the home audience didn't quite know what that was, but it was one of those poor frogs that it's not a popular dish in Los Angeles. But those were some of the antics. And Billy Crystal, working with Steve Martin, trying to run on stage next to me. They're sitting there, what do we do with it? Because Morgan Freeman had just won for Driving Miss Daisy. So they're conspiring. Then they dash up right after commercial and want to know who came in second for Best Actor in a Comedy. So it's a way to have fun, and I enjoyed all of the events. Like I say, my husband did the work and I had the fun, but I wasn't starstruck. I'm lucky because I did go to school in Los Angeles and was exposed to stars all around when I was in my late teens and my youth, and then of course working in advertising. But it is always exciting, and I had a great time and enjoyed it, and enjoyed the marketing aspect because I was an advertising person in addition to my husband being a lead marketing person in America. So it was something in which I had interest. So I went to as many things as I could and enjoyed that lifestyle tremendously.
When you would go to the Oscars, they pan the audience, but you always know the people that are going to win are on the front row. But where did you sit, Bobbi? Where were you, like up in the balcony, or where did you sit when you would go?
No, I'm very honored that my husband's role in a motion picture major studio, we always had stellar seats, and I won't name stars with whom I sat next to. It was very exciting. They were great views. There was a cocktail party beforehand, the limo ride, the ball, the governor's ball. We always went to that. And that is for the studio heads and the nominees, and that's the winners. After our time, the after parties really took over more. The ball still does occur, and there's a lot of handshaking and photo ops, and it was glamorous with the little dusted Oscar chocolates and the delicious food in the band. So I enjoyed that immensely. But then now some of the stars who are not uh, don't have films or are not at the Oscars are going to charity events or getting a nice amount of publicity just by dressing up and getting to one of the major parties. But I found it's funny that we talked about this. One of the great equalizers is when it's time to leave one of the shows and the limos come and the drivers have the numbers, and you'll stars and executives and others are in line waiting for their limos, sometimes shoes in hand, because those gorgeous shoes aren't always comfortable. And then over the years, as I have in my book, the Academy created an awning for the people who got to watch in the bleachers before they were subject to the weather. Even though it's Los Angeles and it usually didn't rain, it's nice that I think there's a lottery for those bleacher tickets, and there's some covering. And then people do what I call in the book the Oscar shuffle. You do two when you're on the red carpet, the real red carpet. It's 2 steps forward, kind of look around a little bit, step back a little bit, and just try to prolong your time as much as you can. And I did enjoy it, and it was a very exciting time.
It's really fascinating. Mary McNamara, who was a reporter for the Los Angeles Times, we picked her book, which was a murder mystery set during the Academy Awards, and she told a lot of things about Insider. I didn't realize. I thought everybody got ready at home, and then they took the limo to the Oscars. But she said a lot of these people, they rent nearby hotels and they set up camp in these hotels, and that's where the makeup artists and the people who bring their clothing and everything go, and they get ready at the hotels so it's not as far to go. I go, wow, I never really thought about that. I thought they went from home. I mean, you just went from home, right? From your home in Los Angeles?
But I did have a hairstylist come come to the house. Yes, and again in the book I have that they're getting ready, and Coop has his entourage, and he's got a stylist who they've flown in his tuxedo from Milan, and he has his valet whisking his jacket, and there's like an audience of people in there swarming around like bees. But he checks his teeth with his famous smile in the mirror, and he goes, "Okay, members of the Academy, it's showtime." So there is preparation, and I'm sure gowns. The whole thing with gowns are with stylists and jewelry and the Oscar suites and the swag bags. It's a whole other industry of activities that go on. But I do have the chaos in the opening of my book of Coop getting ready and wanting to beat Serena to the excuse me, Constellation Awards. So she wants to hog the time on getting on the red carpet and getting her limo there to get there first. So,
Wow. And you, like you said, you have to leave in the middle of the afternoon to get there in time, right? So,
right.
wow, that's amazing.
Mhm.
And I always think, how do they go to the bathroom? Because some of those dresses look pretty tight. And
I won't go there.
I can't even imagine, how they and how to decide when to go because you don't want to miss anything. I'd
Well,
probably go into where I wouldn't drink anything that day so I wouldn't have to worry about it.
for our commercial breaks, there's a famous voice of God telling people to settle down, and then the seat fillers. So people do have to get up, and then people know if they're going to be when they're getting up, when their films are going to be nominated. There is a program, an order for the awards. So at a famous award, I think Christine Lottie, don't want to embarrass her, I guess I am, was caught in the restroom. I can't remember if that was Golden Globes or I think it was, and then ran down and just made it more fun, unapologetic about being indisposed at the time of her award.
Or
So
people
these things
tripping going
happen.
up the stairs. That would be my biggest fear, is I would fall. And I remember that happened to
Right.
one of my favorite actors, and she handled it with such a plume. It was incredible. But that it's a fascinating to me, and I thank you for everything that you're sharing with us about the book. Were there any surprises for you? Something that just kind of took you by surprise when you, anything that you can share that, doesn't give anything away, but were there
Well,
things that you just didn't know that when you got there, you go, oh, I had no idea?
what happens is, characters take on a life of their own. And I've heard authors say that, and I had heard it for all the book talks that I went to for years before I wrote. And then in Shelter from the Texas Heat, I've got some really wacky characters there, 3 generations of women. And I have somebody who surprised me and wasn't quite who I thought she was. And that was very interesting as a writer. That was my first time to come across that. And then I hope in Red Carpet Rivals, when you see the people going about their work, sometimes coming unglued when a famous star walks down the halls, even at a big studio, people sometimes have to peer out of their offices when they've seen everybody. And just to hear about some of the machinations, I want it to be good too, but again, with the sexual harassment, the various ways that people can take advantage of others in the workplace. And it's prescient, what I wrote, and it isn't just boilerplate. And I hope you find it's on many levels, and I hope it finds it interesting. And I also believe in female empowerment in both of my books. So women are striving hard to achieve their goals and to make a mark in an industry. And of course, it's about, as I said, you have to care about the people, care about their relationships. Surprises about who they love. Do they love the right person or the wrong person? Or these things appear particularly in Red Carpet Rivals. There'll be some surprises, and I hope readers enjoy that walk down the red carpet and take the trip with me.
Well, for anybody who loves the movies, this is the book to read, and it'd be a great book to order before we watch the Oscars on April 25th. So I hope that everybody gets their copy of this book.
Thank
And
you.
it's beautiful. I mean, it really jumps out there and grabs you. But and we've always had the hot pink carpet.
That's
we even
right.
we even had a film festival one year because we had a documentary made about our book club convention. But
Here's my hot pink cup of ice water.
oh, there you go. There you go. You still have yours. I think I still have some out in the studio, but we've had pom-poms. We've had different things through the years. But right now we're doing everything virtually online because we're trying to keep everybody safe. And we are thrilled that you, all the way from Atlanta to here in East Texas, it'll be going around the world.
Wonderful. I would be glad to speak to book clubs. To Kathy, thank you. Your chapters. There are discussion questions, and feel free to reach out to me. And thank you, Kat. You just have made this journey. You're the special parts of it. With Shelter from the Texas Heat was the beginning, and we continue the ride together. And I can't thank you enough.
You are so welcome, Bobbi. I know we're going to have lots more adventures together. In fact,
I
Bobbi,
signed up already.
yeah,
Signed up already for the next
2022. Yeah.
I'm in there.
And the first time we did something with Bobbi is Bobbi went with us. The Pulpit Queens normally take trips together, literary adventures, and we went to New York City, and we had so much fun. But I think the best day was when we went to the Met.
Yes.
We were with Pat Conroy's daughter, Melissa Conroy, who was our tour guide. And I can remember being in the bathroom and somebody goes, "Is that Kathy Patrick I hear?" And I'm like, "What?" And that was my former married name. And I said, "Who is it?" And it was a children's author. I'm trying to think of her name. I can't think of it right now. But she was in the next stall and she recognized my voice in New York City.
Unbelievable.
It was unbelievable. But
And I captured that episode in the 20th anniversary anthology. When I thought of all the things I wanted to write about, it was very special being in New York. The things we did, the bookstores, the Strand, the museum, the lunches,
Private
the
parties we went to.
private parties. Yeah.
We
So
went to Tina Sloan's for an afternoon tea. We went to Robert Lalou's for, we had wine for a cocktail party.
went to
Um,
Expo.
yes, we went as power readers to Book Expo in New York in June. And we had some wonderful authors that joined us, Peter Golden. And
Yes.
it was just so much fun. I think there was about 30 of us that went, 25, 30.
Terrific
We had
group.
a great time, and hopefully we'll get to do it again because
Okay.
everybody's ready to go on another Pulpwood Queen adventure.
I'm
But
ready.
this
Count me in. But we'll
this
do
is
it online.
yes,
And I congratulate you for really creating the same exciting atmosphere on this convention this year, that we, with a new way of reaching each other. And I think it was just exciting and fun and satisfying. So we're all
I don't
just
think
happy.
anybody really thought it was going to work. And so, because we didn't have as big as buy-in as we had, like when Pat Conroy and Fannie Flagg people would come. But every single person that came to Girlfriend Weekend said, excellent job, Kathy. It was so smooth. The programming was fantastic, and
Yeah.
everybody's coming next year. So it's going to be a week long. So everybody, if you join the Pulpwood Queens Book Club Reading Nation or are a member, you want to join, and go to my Kathy L. Murphy channel on YouTube and subscribe. You can sign up for Girlfriend Weekend this month for $99, and we're going to have over 100 authors. That's $1 an author. I mean, that's unbelievable. And you get to hear every one of them. So, and all you have to do is email me when you've done that at thepulpwoodqueen@gmail.com. It's up on our website now. Mandy's got it up there. She's also got her calendar of events, because Saturday we're having a writers club with Johnny Bernhard, who's a TED Talk author. She did a wonderful writer's presentation at the Pat Conroy Center. We're going to have her. Bobbi, we should have you come and do a workshop.
I would love to.
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
And because it's our writers mentoring to newbies and seasoned professionals.
Yep.
I learn something every time I go on one of these. And then, of course, on every Saturday night, author Robert Gwaltney and I host the Book and Film Club. And we're working on, so stay tuned, Bobbi, our Hollywood Insider, and Robert and I are working on doing a pre-thing for the Oscars. So get ready for all these events. It's going to be up on our website, thepulpwoodqueens.com.
Good.
And I just can't thank you enough. Bobbi, you're amazing. I've been to your beautiful home there in Atlanta,
so great to have you.
and I look forward to when I can get out again. I cannot hardly wait to do so. So you just have a wonderful week.
Thank you again. Thank you everyone for watching, and just see you in the movie. Well, the movie's in my book. And
Absolutely.
it's a wrap. Whoa, where is it?
It's a wrap. Oh, good for you. It's a wrap. So you all, thank you for coming and joining us. It'll be up on the YouTube channel just as soon as I download it. It's already being recorded. So stay tuned, and I'll have it on the International Pulpwood Queens and Timber Guys Book Club page, or
Thank
just
you.
go to YouTube, type in Kathy L. Murphy channel. Subscribe today. Thank you, Bobbi.
Tthank you again.
You're a sweetheart. You
Bye-bye.
deserve the Oscar.
Oh, you're a love. Thank you.
Bye-bye. We'll see you
Bye.
next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.